Hey guys, Future Gabe here. Turns out the entire first clip of this vlog had no audio, so we're gonna start it from where the audio began. What we did in this video is we pulled the lip off of the Voltex front bumper, as well as cleaned up the rear diffuser. So come along for this journey and you're gonna see where I messed up a lot and what I did to fix it. So enjoy. So yeah, here's the front lip. This is what I meant by it was pretty hammered. It just has a bunch of rock chips all over the place. It's just, I wouldn't want to run it like this once the car is done, right? So we're going to sand this down. We're going to paint it black. We're also going to paint the rear diffuser to match too. You can see it's got all sorts of scrapes and dings. And I know the bottom side is going to get damaged up anyway from just regular driving. But, for now, at least I want to get it all to look good. So we're going to start by sanding this. We're going to start with 340 and work our way up to 400. Lay down primer, hit it with 400 again, and then lay down our base coat and our clear. But here's the hard top. I already got the rear window out. It was pretty gross. You can see the s2000 has just kind of been where I stack all my parts on top of right now. But this right here is what I'm talking about. I'm going to get the tape line down perfect. And that's kind of where I'm running into a little bit of struggle with, but let's see how it goes. I might push the black a little bit further so the tape can be a little bit easier to lay down. I've also thought about just paint matching this to the rest of the car, but I feel like that's not going to look as good. I feel cars, when they're all painted one color, need some black, some trim to kind of break it up a little bit. So yeah, we'll see. The reason I'm kind of hesitant on wanting to paint the whole hardtop today is because when I pulled off the rear window, it left all this gross adhesive that's just going to be a little bit of a pain to take off. And I might want to save that for another day when I have a little bit more time. But yeah, let's go ahead and grab the DA. We'll slap some sandpaper on it and we'll get started. Alright, we got this half of it done. It's all coming out pretty smooth. I'm not going to worry too much about these deep gouges. It's going to be on the bottom side of the car, so I'm not really too concerned. I just want it to look good. I thought about laying down a little bit of fiberglass filler and smoothing that out, but it's probably just going to get damaged again, so it's really not that big of a deal. But yeah, it's nice and smooth on this side. We just got to go ahead and finish up the middle part and the left part. Then we can move on to the lip. And we'll get started on laying down some primer. Alright, so we went ahead and finished this middle section. Basically from like this hole right here further on, I'm not extremely worried about getting it glassed out. Mainly because it's going to be underneath the car. The main part I want to be like a mirror basically, and it's going to be from this edge sloping in, which is going to be the main part you're going to actually see, especially when you're like driving behind the car. As far as like what to do to prevent any rock chips or any scratches, I'm thinking about ordering some PPF and just laying some PPF down in this middle section, as well as in these corners and on the flat areas, so that way it can at least protect it somewhat from any sort of rock chips or things like that. The thing I'm mostly worried about is going to be dips. I'm not planning on running the car too low, so I'm hoping I'm not going to scrape this thing all over the ground, but that is the thing I'm mostly worried about. Okay, so from here all we have left is just this section here. As you can see, it's already been banged up against the ground a lot. I'm going to try and sand most of these out as much as I can, just kind of how I did on this area right here. So hopefully here soon we'll have this ready. I've kind of been going at this for about an hour now. It's taking a little bit longer than I was expecting. It looks like this has been spray painted before, so the paint that's coming off, it looks like it was like almost like a rubberized base. It wasn't plasti dip because it's not peeling off at all with like my nail, but because of that, it's kind of making it a little bit more of a process. All my sanding discs are getting clogged up extremely quickly, so since I've already gone through like 7 or 8 of them, But yeah, we're making progress. We're almost there. I just gotta finish this section here, that flat area. I'm just gonna scuff this back area, and then we're gonna clean it up with some reducer, and then wait for it to dry. Then we'll jump over to this guy. This one I think is gonna be a lot faster. We'll see. And basically, from taking a look at it, I think I'm going to wait on doing the hardtop on another day, just because this is already taking more time than I was expecting, and I'm running low on sanding discs, so I'm gonna need to go and purchase some more before I go ahead and take on that project. But yeah, let's go ahead and continue, and we're almost done. Rear diffuser, all prepped and ready to go. Front lip, pretty much all prepped, ready to go. I gotta finish up right here, and yeah, then we're good to go to start laying down some primer. I ran out of sanding discs, so yeah, no way we're gonna be able to get the hardtop done. So it's back on the car. But yeah, this is exciting. I was not able to get a lot of these gouges out, and to be honest, I don't really care to. This part, you're really not gonna see, especially because it's gonna be just on the very bottom side of the car. So unless you got up under it, that's when you'll see it. Either way, not a big deal. Contemplated doing the bottom of the lip too, but again, you're not going to see it, and I'm going to get a splitter that's going to basically, yeah, cover all of this. But other than that, we got everything nice and flat, nice and smooth, and yeah, we'll go ahead and finish up this one corner, and then we'll get to mixing some primer. All right, now that everything's prepped, we're going to go ahead and clean all this up, get all this dirt off of it. Then we'll get to mixing the primer, and then we can lay down our first coat of primer. We're probably going to do 2 coats of primer so we have enough to block down. We're going to sand it down again, and then from there we'll lay down the base coat. All right, so here we have our primer. This is going to be 4-to-1 ratio. I always recommend checking your tick sheet. It's the sheet you get when you purchase your paint supplies, or you can always check the back of the can. It'll tell you what the mixing ratio should be. So this is some stuff from Speed Coat. I haven't used it before. Honestly, I don't know how well it's gonna go. We'll see how this stuff goes. I've never used it. I always recommend getting, while you're at the paint shop, picking up your mixing cups. That's one of the things I feel I run out of the most when doing any sort of paint work is mixing cups. Granted, I could probably just clean them out. I think that's probably where it is. I'm just a little lazy, and I don't really clean them. I just use them once and kind of toss them. But yeah, as soon as you open it up, give her a good old stir. And the little trick I learned when it comes to pouring out your paint is get yourself some tape. Grab yourself a little bit of tape and tape it right around the edge like that. It helps with spills. It can almost creates like a funnel effect. So when it comes to mixing your paint, on your mixing cups, all up here, you're gonna have all your ratios. 4-to-1, it's kind of hard to tell because I'm a little far away, but it's the final one right here on these PPG cups. So what you'll do is the first column is gonna be how many parts of primer you're actually gonna put in. So for a job like this, we're probably gonna go about 5. Actually, let's do 4. We'll go 4 parts primer, and then we'll go reducer, or activator, I mean, up to that next line, that 4. So with the density, once you go to fill it up, it's only gonna fill up to here, right? So, and then from there, we're gonna add a little bit of a reducer just to thin it out a little bit more, and that's gonna go up to that next line. So that's gonna be your 4-to-1-to-1, and that's gonna give you the ratio you need to be able to have it lay out correctly. But we're making a big old mess today. 4. Go ahead and shut this guy because now we're not going to need it. Now we're going to move on to our activator. So now that we're at the 4 line, we're going to add this until we get to the next 4 on here. And just like that. That one's done. And now to thin it out, we're going to add some thinner, some reducer. And that one's just going to go to that next 4 on the mixing cup. Okay. And from there, we're going to want to go ahead and just mix it all up. You're going to want to go grab your paint gun. Today, we're using just a good old Purple Harbor freight gun. These guns work really well for primer, so I like them a lot. I use the green ones for base or clear coat for now. I'm wanting to, before we get to actually painting the entire car, I'd like to upgrade to a nicer gun. They're just kind of expensive. I use these disposable cups that's like on a plastic liner, and they have these tops that have a filter on them already, but you can never go wrong with filtering it even more than that. Okay, so now that that's in, go ahead and cap that off. And seal that. Okay, now from here, you want to make sure the settings on your gun are dialed in exactly where you want them to be. For primer, I typically try and shoot it at around 25 to 30 psi. Other people will have different opinions. I mean, it's all honestly up to you and how you prefer it. So, yeah. But from here, let's go ahead and get to spraying these parts. We ran into a little bit of an issue. I noticed while I was spraying out the diffuser that my fan pattern progressively got smaller and smaller and smaller. So led me to believe, like, okay, this gun's getting clogged. No surprise, these Harbor Freight guns tend to do that. I need to pull it apart and clean it. Honestly, I should probably just go pick up another one. They're cheap enough. Anyway, so I got to the lip, and at first it was coming out okay. I was like, I'll just get a really light coat on this, and then I'll move on. And I have another gun laying around, and I'll switch it up. So that's what I did. I switched to the green Harbor Freight gun, and I forgot to do one very important thing. And that was to take the cap off of the plastic cup. Plastic cups, they have a little cap on here. If you don't take the cap off, it's gonna shoot really wet. It's basically just gonna spew it all out. It's gonna spit the entire time. So this side came out half okay because I finally got it settled up. I just gotta sand this down. But boy, oh boy, is this side bad. You can see all the runs in the primer. I mean, it's not a big deal, it's just primer. I'm just gonna wait for this to dry down, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just block sand it all and make it nice and flat again. Spray it with a little bit more now that I got the gun dialed in how it should be, and then we'll be good. But yeah, dumb mistake. I should have been paying a little bit more attention, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. It's just primer. we'll go ahead and sand it down, and then we'll be good to continue. But this is the rear diffuser. Came out really nice, honestly. I'm really impressed with how it came out. It's still a little bit transparent just because we reduced the primer a little bit. It's not a big deal. We're painting it black, so it's going to cover up all of this. I do need to go ahead and sand this down a little bit. You can see right here we got a couple of drip marks. Those aren't from it running. I was using that different style cup which has the liners, and something must be up with it because it was dripping paint out of it. So it dripped a little bit of primer here and all around here. So I'm just going to take some sandpaper and sand that down once it's all the way dry, make it flat again, shoot it again with a little bit more primer, and then we'll be good to go. This one basically almost ready for paint. This one I just got to let it dry and sand, and then it'll be ready for paint. Other than that though, it's coming out okay, I guess. I'm realizing that I do need to invest into some nicer equipment. I can't keep getting away with the Harbor Freight paint guns. I am thinking about upgrading to a nicer one. And another thing too is I definitely need to upgrade my air compressor. I think we've talked about this in the past. The biggest issue with air compressors in my garage is set up for a 110 outlet, 110 or a 120. It's like your regular style plug that we're all accustomed to. The air compressors that I want and that I could use and need, those are like the same style plug as like your electric dryers, which my garage is not set up for that. So in order to get the nicer air compressor that I want, I'm gonna have to basically rewire my garage, and I have no experience when it comes to electrician work. And last time I talked to an electrician to come out and do it, they're trying to quote me around $2,000 to do it, which just kind of seemed like a lot, especially when the air compressor is going to be an additional probably around $1,000. So this is my current setup right now. I have a old school, I found this on Facebook Marketplace for like $50. It's a 30-gallon air compressor. I did have it daisy chained to this other Husky 32-gallon air compressor as well. I got this one and I got screwed on it. It didn't have a regulator on it, and it wasn't holding air whatsoever. So I picked up a regulator, got it all hooked up, and it wouldn't build past 40 psi. And when I pulled the motor apart, I found that the head gasket was cracked and the piston rings were cracked as well. So basically the motor was dead. And with these air compressors, they're basically disposable. If they go bad, there's really no fixing them because they're old. This one's like 10 years old. This one's probably 15 years old. So it's kind of the tough part. It blows out good air. The CFMs are actually, I believe, like 9 CFMs at 40 psi, which is exactly what I need. But it takes forever to build air pressure. As soon as I am done spraying a panel, the tank's empty, and it just takes forever to build back up. So I definitely think it's time to upgrade to a much nicer air compressor because when we go to actually paint the car, it's going to be a nightmare. So I'm going to do some more research, see what else I can find. Hopefully I can find a decent air compressor that I can run with my electrical, how it's set up. If not, I'm going to have to figure out how to rewire my garage. But other than that, let's go ahead and get back to it. We got to give it about 20 minutes for the primer to dry, and we can start block sanding it. Alright, we've gone ahead and just re-sanded this area down again. It's nice and flat again. We're just going to relay some primer over this. This side came out actually pretty good. It's nice and smooth. And yeah, it's pretty much ready for paint. We went ahead and knocked off those drips on the rear diffuser as well. Probably going to come through and just with the DA and just try and smooth that out a little bit more. But yeah, let's go ahead and lay that next coat of primer. And then it's about, I believe, a 20-minute cure time before we lay paint. And then, we'll lay down paint. Then in about another 30 minutes, and then we can lay down clear. So hopefully by the end of tonight, we'll have this ready. All right, that came out a lot better. Again, it's not perfect. I got a few little bubbles over here, but again, not perfect. We're gonna block it down as soon as it's dry, and I'll be ready for paint. This side came out so much better. This guy's actually pretty much ready for paint at this point now. So I'm just gonna let this guy dry and then sand this area here, just get rid of these little bubbles, and then we'll go ahead and lay down its first layer of base coat. Now it's time for base coat. When it comes to base coat, you're going to do a 1-to-1 mixture. So 1 part base, 1 part reducer, and that'll be honestly be it. It's pretty simple when it comes to base coat. The primer is currently setting. It's currently drying right now. I feel terrible and dumb. I made a mistake, but it's okay. It's fixed. It's not quite as perfect as I'd want it to be, but given the circumstances, it's kind of as good as we're gonna get for tonight. We can always sand it down later and redo it if I'm ever just like, you know what, I'm really not happy with it. But yeah, for now it's working. So this is HFP 250. It's a GM black. When I looked this up, it's actually the black they use in like the C5 Corvettes and stuff. There's no specific reason why I bought it. It was just cheap. When I was looking into getting the paint stuff, I actually ran across somebody on the good old Facebook marketplace that was selling a bunch of paint supplies they didn't need. And yeah, the primer, the clear coat, and a quart of this black, which I needed black, and well, it's not bad looking, to be completely honest. It's just a little, you know, a little different, I guess, right? A GM black on a Honda, but black's black, and this one's a pretty straight black too. It doesn't really have much pearl in it, so it won't look too weird. There we go. Let's give it a little mix. Okay, so again, we're gonna grab our paint cup. We're gonna look for the 1-to-1, which is gonna be the first one right here. You can also use the ounce ruler here, because you know 1 part's gonna be 1 ounce. So that way, that's another way you can do it too. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead. I don't think we need much. We're gonna go ahead and let's see how far we can get with 4 ounces. If we do need more, we have more. So we'll go ahead and yeah, we'll go ahead and mix more if we need it. So fill this guy up to 4 ounces. Perfect. Like I said, once we're done, we'll grab the hammer. Tap this guy back shut. We'll grab our reducer. So, fun bit of information that I'll tell you guys that I had to learn the hard way when we were painting the Lexus. Reducer speed matters. So right now it's approximately, I want to say it's about 65-ish here in the garage. So fast reducer is needed for when it's cold. So that way it can dry properly. When I was painting the Lexus, I used medium reducer when I should have used slow reducer, and I was having all sorts of weird reactions where I actually had to strip half the car and redo it. So remember, your reducer speed does matter, and it's actually pretty spot on as far as like the temperature that it suggests goes. So just keep that in mind. Don't do what I did. You'll go through a whole lot more paint than you need to. But yeah. I got a new Harbor Freight gun for this one. I I don't want to run into any clogging issues, so we'll go ahead and get that guy set up, dial it in, and pour this in, and we should be ready to start spraying. Alright, we went ahead and got the first coat done. You're probably wondering why it's so splotchy. Whenever you're doing your first coat, you want to basically dust it on. It kind of came on a little bit heavy, honestly, especially in some of these corners here. But yeah, you don't want to lay it on super thick on your very first coat, simply because if you do, it's going to have a weird reaction and it's going to start flaking off. I learned that one again the hard way with the Lexus. So we went ahead and gave it its first coat. Let's give it about 15 minutes and then we'll go ahead and do the second coat. Same with the lip. Again, we'll give it about 15 minutes, let it flash, and then we'll come by again and give it another coat. Alright, the rear diffuser came out really good. There's a little bit of orange peel, but I mean, again, what can you expect with these cheap paint sprayers? I'm still getting used to it. I'm still really new to painting, so really stoked with how this came out, given my experience and given the circumstances of everything. This came out spectacular. It's ready for clear coat at this point, but I think I'm gonna wait to do that till tomorrow. It's getting pretty cold and I'm already starting to have issues with the lip. The lip came out great too, except, yeah, either that or I'm getting some sort of weird reaction right here, there, and there. So, I mean, I'm all out of sandpaper anyway. So at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna call it a night. I'm gonna turn on the space heater that I have in the garage. Hopefully it'll get the garage warm enough where it'll maintain temperature so this can dry properly. And then tomorrow I'm gonna go pick up some sandpaper, smooth this out so that way I can get rid of whatever's going on here, get some isopropyl alcohol and clean it real good and respray this end. And then once this is done, we'll go ahead and lay clear. We'll go ahead and just kind of call it there for today. We'll pick this back up tomorrow. Hey guys, alright, so it's been a few days. I've actually had a lot of stuff come up, and to be honest, I wasn't enjoying how the air compressor was operating that I was using. It was an older Craftsman unit that is probably 10 to 15 years old now. So I decided to go buy a new air compressor. I feel like that's going to help us a lot with how our paint is coming out and how it's spraying. And I really liked how the rear diffuser came out. It came out great. It's a little dirty right now from sitting, but I wasn't really a big fan of how the front lip came out. So I'm actually going to sand down the entire front lip and basically repaint it again, so that way we can get it right this time. To show you guys what happened, right here the paint started basically shrinking. So this happens when you lay down too much paint too fast, and that was my problem. Is this corner right here, I kind of laid it on super thick right at the beginning, and we can see there's some unevenness as well. So I'm going to sand down this entire thing down here as well and just repaint the whole lip, and hopefully this time we can get a much better spray pattern and it's just going to look a lot better. Alright, just like that, the whole lip is sanded down and prepped. It's pretty smooth. I'm going to go over again with 400 grit just to kind of make it a little bit smoother. And then we're going to lay down some primer. And and then lay down some base, and then this time we should be good. We shouldn't have any sort of issues. The reason why we're just going to lay down primer is I want it all in just one even coat before we lay down the paint. Also, while sanding, we sanded through the original primer so you can see the raw fiberglass. So we got to lay down some primer on that so that way it adheres properly. Alright, we got the lip re-primered. We're gonna let this dry. I'm gonna go run to the gym, get a quick workout in. When we get back, we'll go ahead and shoot base coat. Alright guys, further inspected the lip after letting it dry all the way. There was a few more runs in there again, but I've come to realize I think it's just the garage is just too damn cold. So we got the little garage heater going. Hopefully we can get the garage up to temp. And I think that's the reason why it keeps running. Just because it's well under 60 degrees. It's probably closer to 50 degrees in here. And with the reducer speed that we're using, it's rated for like 60, 65. So it wasn't flashing properly, it wasn't drying properly. So it was making it run. We went ahead and just dry sanded everything that was running. I just hand sanded it with a block. Looks like I have a couple more right here I gotta take care of, but other than that, let's go ahead and get this thing nice and smooth. I really am trying to get this lip as perfect as possible. The front lip, I feel like it's gonna be the first thing you see when the car pulls up. So I'm really shooting to try and get this as good as I can. I'm a little tempted to fill in these pinholes here, but I worry with it being right on that body line, it's gonna be hard to get it nice and even. So we might leave those there up until it's, later on when I feel a little bit more confident in order to fill those in and get these fixed. So, but for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and get all these runs out and we'll be ready to lay down some base coat. Alright, we busted out the rear diffuser again. I actually wanted to play around with an idea. I had a little bit of red flake. It's called Crimson Red Pearl. Now, I wanted to add a little bit of, I don't know, just glamour to this paint. I didn't want it to just be straight black. I wanted it to just have a subtle hint of like a pearl to it. And really like the way it's coming out. It almost gives it like almost like a purplish hue to it. So really happy with how that came out. I'm gonna do one more coat of just regular black once I run out of paint in the can. We got the first coat on the lip, we're just letting that flash. And yeah, we'll do the next coat on that one. We'll lay a little bit heavier once it's flashed. And then with that should basically take care of the rest of the paint in the cup. And then we'll mix up another cup with just straight black. And we'll just do about one coat of that, one decently thick coat of that. And I'm hoping that there'll be just a little bit of pearl just showing through. That way it's not just, completely purple, right? But it's kind of hard to tell. Against the light, you can kind of see if I can get the camera to focus. Yeah, you can kind of see it, I guess. But that's actually a pearl I have laying around for when we decide to paint the Evo, because I am painting the Evo red, but I want all the black accents of the Evo to have a red pearl to it, so that way it kind of matches, right? But yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with how that came out. I was a little nervous, but there we are. Alright, now that's a lot more like it. That looks a ton better. We got some minimal orange peel, and we can still see a little bit of sand scratches, but it's late. I'm not going to be super particular over that stuff, but it's laying down nice and flat, and honestly looks really good. I love the slight hints of red. Again, we're going to go over this once it flashes, again with just straight black. Try and hide a little bit of that red, but under the sunlight it should poke through the black and look really good. But yeah, again, I got to preface, I'm not a professional painter. This is like my 4th time ever painting anything, and I'm still learning. So I don't want you guys to watch this video and think, oh, this is a tutorial or a how-to. I'm telling you, I'm still learning as I go. So don't take what I say as gospel, and I might say a few things here and there where I might have messed up. I might have said the wrong terminology, etc. Don't kill me in the comments. I'm still learning. But I think for, again, a beginner painter, I think it's coming out pretty decent. Like, I really like how that looks. Even right here, I think this is probably one of my best spots right here where it's nice and clear. You can see the reflection on my hand. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this is coming out. Again, we're gonna do one more coat of just regular black, trying to kill down this red a little bit. And then from there, we're gonna hit it with the clear coat and finally be done with this project. And this is the final product. I am beyond stoked with how this came out. And very minimal orange peel. We have a good reflection here. It looks great. Best part of all is I did 2 coats of black over the pearl, and it looks pretty black. It looks good, right? But as soon as you go under the sun, well, obviously not under the sun, but as soon as you go under a flashlight, you are able to still see that pearl sparkling through. It's kind of hard to tell in here, but man, I wish I had a flashlight to show you guys. I was just using the flashlight on my phone. Honestly, really stoked with how this came out. At this point, we have probably like 5 layers of base coat, which is a little bit overkill, I understand that. But really happy with how it came out. I'm not seeing any runs. It's flashing perfectly. At this point, I'm just letting the garage air out a little bit. You can see the Evo's covered in snow. And yeah, I'm gonna give this about 20 minutes. I'm gonna start mixing up the clear coat now. And then we'll lay our, let's do probably 2 to 3 layers of clear, just to have this nice and done. I know at some point I am going to want to fill in those pinholes. I worry with the stuff I have, because all I have is fiberglass filler and Bondo. I worry that's going to be just a little bit too difficult to fill in. But you can only really see if you get up about this close. When you get pretty far, you can't even tell that they're there. So we'll worry about that later down the road. Alright, we went ahead and laid down the first coat of clear, and it looks great. Came out nice and flat. I haven't seen any runs yet, and it's honestly clearing up really well. Really happy with how this is coming out. We just gotta let it flash. We're gonna do our second coat, and then if we have enough, we'll do a third. But so far, I think we'll probably get away with 2 coats, and yeah, and just like that, finished product. We did 3 coats of clear. Got a little hair that got stuck in there. Not a big deal. Again, we're gonna wet sand this. We have good clarity. I'm actually really stoked about that. Still a little tiny bit of orange peel, but again, we did a lot of clear, so that way we can wet sand this and buff this nice. We can get rid of that little hair that's there. Again, the pinholes, I'll fix that another day. But really stoked with how this came out, honestly. For being, my 3rd or 4th time ever painting anything, came out great. Same with the rear diffuser. Actually really stoked with how this one came out. This one's dang near perfect. All the little stuff that you see is just imperfections that I didn't get from sanding. I should have sanded it better. I should have spent more time on the sanding part, so it would have been nice and flat. I didn't realize that there was going to be a bunch of pinholes again, the same thing as that one, but again, it's a part that goes on the bottom side of the car, so of course it's going to get dinged up by rocks and stuff like that. So, but again, really good clarity. Really stoked with how that came out. And yeah, this is going to look spectacular. Again, you're not going to see all of this because it's going to flip upside down and, well, right side up, I guess. And all you're going to see is basically here, this area, about maybe 5 inches of there, this area, and the sides, of course. So for being an area that's not going to have a lot of focus, the parts that are honestly came out great, and I'm beyond stoked about it with the results. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. If you made it to the end of this video, I really appreciate you guys. Again, this whole YouTube thing's a brand new thing to me. It's honestly kind of difficult. Sometimes I miss just working on a car, not having to worry about hitting the record button and, making sure that everything I do has to be filmed, everything I do has to be the perfect way, etc., right? So it's a little tough because sometimes I miss just knocking the project out and being done with it. And with doing this YouTube thing, honestly, it almost takes twice as long to get these things done. Just because, again, you always have to reposition the camera, make sure your mic is charged up, make sure that you take a second to stop and explain what you're doing, right? So bear with me as I'm learning and come along in the journey. I really appreciate you guys that have. I'm really hoping that we can really take this to the next level. I'm hoping to have this car ready in the next 2 months. In that same time frame, I'm hoping to knock the Evo out as well. Once the Evo is done, we're going to be looking at adding another project car so that way we can maintain the content going. The S2000 is still going to need, stuff here and there that I'll record, right? Like when I finish the interior, when I finish the engine stuff, right? We'll still film all those things, but I do enjoy these restoration style projects, right? So once the Evo is done, I think we're going to look into getting another vehicle to restore and, have more content for the channel, I guess. So if you're enjoying this stuff, please subscribe, please share with your friends so that way, maybe they'll enjoy it too. Again, I'm not a professional at any of this. I'm just a dude in a garage here at home and honestly just figuring it out as I go. So if you enjoy this content, again, please, let me know. Comment below what you think. If you see me completely messing up, let me know. That way, that's how we grow and that's how we learn. So again, we're going to cut it here, and I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. I think in the next video, I don't know what we're going to do. We'll see. I really want to get that bumper done, so that way I can just have the whole front bumper done and ready, but I really don't want to paint the bumper the color of the car with the rest of the car not being done. So we're probably going to do a little bit of body work on the next video. I'm probably going to tackle that dent in the rear quarter panel, and that way we can basically, once that's done and body filled and nice and smooth and ready to go, at that point all we need to do is sand down the rest of the car. I do need to get the wheels and tires mounted so I can move the car. I need to move the car more closer to the middle so I have more space. It's kind of crammed up against the wall over there. So we'll see. One of those things is going to be what the next video is. So we'll see you guys in the next one.